Okay. Welcome to Taklinger TV. We're doing this session in English because we are currently in Reykjavik, Iceland. That is, of course, not a coincidence. There's been an economic crisis the past couple of years that has ravaged economies all over the world, and Iceland was one of the countries, I guess we could say, that was hit the hardest earliest. With me here today are Árni Daníel Júlíusson, who is a board member of Attac Iceland, and Solveig Jonsdottir, who is the leader of Attac Iceland. And I'm trying to ask them a little bit about the economic situation in Iceland and the political situation to see what has happened now this time after the crisis. So first, a little bit about the economic situation. Now, we've been driving around Iceland now a little bit, and it's not hard to see buildings that are half finished just standing there, and even buildings and projects that are finished that are just standing empty, shops that are empty, places for rent. Obviously, these are some results of the financial crisis. So I'm just wondering, how has this crisis affected the lives of ordinary people in Iceland? I mean, in terms like unemployment, is the unemployment up? How much? Prices? What do people in Iceland do for a living now?
Well, I think the unemployment rate is now at about 10%.
Yes.
And it shot up very quickly after the crisis hit. And it's pretty much stayed that way, 10% I think. And prices have gone up.
Yes.
So food, for example, is much more expensive. Just generally the cost of living has gone up. And especially for people who have loans, the payments of the loans have skyrocketed. Now in Iceland there's a great debate about the loans that the banks were sort of, the banks were very aggressive in marketing these loans to people, and these are loans that are called in Iceland myntkörfulán. So they're foreign currency loans. So when the krona was very strong, this was presented as a very good deal. But now, of course, the krona has devalued so much that people are having extreme problems being able to meet the payments. And now it turns out that these loans were illegal also. So this is now sort of the main pressing issue right now.
On the other side, the krona was devalued by half. This took some of the pressure off the economy, so we have not had the amount of collapse that was predicted.
Yeah, because of the krona.
Yeah. So Icelandic products have become cheaper. In contrast to foreign products.
Yeah, because...
So the first, and one other thing that happened immediately after the crash was that almost all imports ceased. We have had no cars imported almost the last two years. So we have a positive balance of payment. So, but generally the unemployment situation is very bad because we have not had such big unemployment. Maybe Europeans here, 10% unemployment. This is what we have had many years, many decades. In Iceland, it has been an essential part of the social fabric that everybody can have a job. Now this has changed, so we are frightened.
And for some parts, like people who were in the building industry, and architects, there's no work to be had at all. So even though 10% might not seem very high for some parts of the population, it's much more dire than it sounds.
Because that was something I was also going to ask you, because I've been reading some newspapers while I've been here, even though my Icelandic is not that good. At least if they have charts, I can understand something. And I saw that sort of like New Zealand, in Iceland there are more sheep than people.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
And that was something I was going to ask you, really, because at least on the chart I saw that the number of sheep, although there were still more than people, had gone down quite drastically over the past few years. Coming from a rural area originally myself, I take some interest in these sorts of things, and
we
obviously,
excuse me.
Well, obviously you can't live off selling derivatives back and forth. The crisis has shown that. So what is the future for Iceland? What is Iceland going to live of in the future? What are you going to produce? What do you see?
Well, actually, about the sheep, we had dumping policy where most of the sheep were not most, but a big part of the production was moved outside the country, and then we stopped this policy in about 1990, and that is the reason the number of sheep fell so much.
Okay.
But about the future of Iceland, this is being fought right now very hard. For example, in the field of energy policies, are we going to have a privatized energy sector, or is it going to be under the control of the state or the people? And so we are having a difficult time in this, because not all the parties support the state ownership. Even one of the government parties supports privatization of the energy sector, and this is the Social Democrats.
Yeah, so apart from the loan crisis, this is the most pressing.
The hottest issue.
The hottest issue.
But of course we have had the luck, for example, to keep our fisheries. They have been preserved, even though they have not been growing. So we can live off the fisheries, of course. We have every possibility of making a good society. We have a very clean energy sources. So we have water, energy from waterfalls, and we have all sorts of clean energy. So we should be able to.
So that's where the fear is that the foreign companies that will come and they will buy up.
And use it for aluminium plants.
Or the next sort of one of the next bubbles, economic bubbles, will be renewable energy source bubble. So that doesn't bode very well for the future of Icelandic, the economy of Iceland, to invest their fortunes in yet another bubble. I mean,
because Iceland does have a lot of natural resources, not only sheep and fish, but also you have this huge resources of thermal energy. Going around Iceland, I've seen all these plants, with this huge amounts of steam coming out of looking almost like geysers.
Yes, I was going to say that there has been one interpretation of what happened in Iceland in the last 20 or 30 years is that we had a very decent and sound society in about maybe 1980 or 1985, and then neoliberalism came and attacked it, destroyed what was basically a very well-functioning society. So.
But then it was still. I mean, there were like special interests that sort of ruled mostly.
Yes.
The development of.
Always not well.
No, always not well.
Always, at least better than now.
It was sustainable. It wasn't going to sort of inflate and then explode.
No. So, I mean, we can look to the past to see a model of what could be better.
Yes.
That is one way of looking at it, and how we will cope with the future.